Greetings, everyone. Well, it's not exactly spring yet, but my citrus trees are acting like it. A lot of them are starting to produce flowers, new shoots, and so on, while the growth is getting a little bit tender for striking cuttings with. And so I thought I'd take some citrus cuttings. People keep asking me, do you have any orange trees? You got any citrus trees? And I go, well, I sold them all out last year. I'll start all over again. So what we have right here is a Eureka lemon. That's the classic supermarket lemon. You buy this thing in the supermarket all the time. I'm just going to take the bottom of the stem here and I'm going to cut it this way. And then again, I'm going to cut it that way. So I have a wedge. See that? That exposes a larger amount of the green tissue, the cambium, and then I am dipping that into some rooting hormone powder over here. I'm trying to get it at least over all the cut end. Now when you put your cuttings in, make sure that you make a hole for them, because otherwise when you push them in there, you're going to wipe the rooting hormone off, okay? Yeah, so poke a hole for your cuttings when you take them. I know this thing here is a little wild. I'm going to shorten that up a bit. I have taken most of the tender green stuff off the ends of these cuttings, so I'm in some pretty hard wood here. Okay, cut one way. Now I'm going to go the other way. Okay. It is not essential that you make a wedge like that, but I've found that it tends to give better surface area for the roots to form. Okay. Well, now, having finished the lemons, I'm going to move on to a Tangelo hybrid called Page. Now, Page is one of the citrus trees that will strike adequate roots from cuttings. Not all citrus trees are good at this. I don't know how many times I've tried striking cuttings from my Owari Satsuma. I never got one. Never have yet. You know, Fairchild, Tangelos, no problem. I do good with lemons, limes. The Tangelo hybrids like this are easy. They're just not all created the same. Now, in this case here, though, I have definitely reduced a lot of the foliage. I've cut a lot of these leaves in half here on Page. For instance, a lot of it's probably going to drop off eventually anyway. But now here, this is spring growth. You can see that it is just flappy, soft, wiggly. So now I get even flower buds on here. I'm going to reduce some of this too. I don't want the real soft nitrogen filled stuff. It's just going to drop off. There we go. But that does indicate this cutting is, well, I sure got life in it. There we go. All right, there we go. Page, Tangelo hybrid. All right, so let's see, a few details. I cleaned my shears before I got started, okay? And that's usually a pretty good idea. You don't want to go spreading diseases and things around on your plants. And so cleaning the tools before you start making cuttings is highly advisable. Some people like bleach. I hate it. Alcohol, you know, especially vodka, rum, you know, you can. This here is take root. That's a rooting hormone. They also contain a little bit of fungicide in these things to help the cuttings from keep the cuttings from getting moldy. It helps. Now, there are some plants like grapes, figs, passion vines that I do not find any need to use this stuff. Okay. In fact, with passion vines, I think it's counterproductive. Passion vines are so vigorous, they tend to, when you feed them this stuff, they just make nothing but roots and all the leaves fall off. So, but on citrus, it works pretty well. It's helpful. Yeah. Otherwise, I was working with cuttings mostly, between the size of a pencil and maybe a small cigar on the really big ones. The really big ones on the lemon down here, like a Tiparillo or something, that size. Size of my finger, So cutting size does matter to some extent. The smaller and the softer the cutting is, the less likely it's going to take. Within reason, the larger, more firm, and the harder the plant is, usually the better it's going to take. When you catch citrus to make cuttings just ahead of the spring flush, you're doing good. Because when you set them, they'll be hard. You put them in, and they might just go, wow, and start growing on you. It's best time. You don't want citrus sitting around, being dormant. It doesn't do dormant well. Now, something like a grape or a fig, well, you go out there and you prune your trees maybe during the winter, prune your vines in the winter. You strike the cuttings at that time, and just let them sit out there under the trees. They're going to be just fine. But they're deciduous plants. That's a little different. Plants like that have built-in dormancy. They can go to sleep nicely. Most evergreen things don't go to sleep very well. People will ask me, what kind of media are you using? Today, I'm using ProMix. It's a professional grower's media. The reason I'm using ProMix today is that I had a discount card at Ace Hardware and they sell it. Otherwise, I might use SunGrow. There are a variety of professional growers' medias that here I will rotate through, depending on pricing and availability. It's not that important. Citrus it's tolerant enough that you could even use a high-quality potting soil with it. But I tend not to like to do that because most potting soils are biologically active. Growers' medias really aren't. They're mostly, perlite, sphagnum moss, things like that are rather inert. You're better off with inert when you're striking cuttings so you don't start mold and things. The cuttings are not going to feed, all right? I mean, it's possible, I guess you could give a cutting foliar feed. I've never tried this, but they're not going to feed. They're going to draw off energy they have stored in them to push the roots out. And until the roots start coming out, there's no need to have fertilizer there. And in fact, it is counterproductive. You don't want it there. Okay, nice neutral, sterile type media is best for pushing out clean roots. Take the cuttings you've made, put them in a location where humidity's fairly high, sunlight is not too bright, but there needs to be light. Okay, you've got to have light for this. Nice even temperature. Basically here in Puna, it means I'm throwing them out on the table over here. That position them so that the sun isn't screaming down on the pots. Probably put a bigger set of plants or something kind of in front of it to filter things. You could use shade cloth. There's a lot of things. If you have a greenhouse, that's ideal. You can even use mist. Oh boy, if you got bottom heat and mist when you're doing this, you're going to get it nearly 100%. I usually average about 60 or 70% cuttings just sitting on the table over here. Good enough for me. Hang loose, folks. Aloha. You have a good weekend.